What if there were a people who had no armies, no representatives in high-level politics, no luxurious temples or millionaire TV channels, and yet, they bothered the whole world? A simple people, scattered across cities and villages, but carrying a message so direct, so prophetic, that it shook systems to their core. Why is it that, in so many places, Adventists are ridiculed? Why are their pastors the butt of jokes, their beliefs distorted, their principles attacked? What is behind so much discomfort, behind so much fear? Is the problem with the church itself? Or with the message it carries? Today, you may discover the reason why so many try to silence a voice that does not shout, but denounces. If this topic already makes sense to you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Do you think Adventists bother the world? Why? Now, let's get to what is really behind all this. The disruption caused by Adventists. Adventists do not shout in public squares. They do not invade temples. They do not impose their beliefs by force. And yet, they cause disruption. They cause disruption in schools, at work, on social media, in conversation circles. They even cause disruption within other Christian churches. But why is this? Because, even though they are a minority, Adventists follow a path that confronts the flow of the modern world. A path that says, no, where many prefer silence. That keeps the Sabbath, while the rest of the world goes on as if it were any other day. That abstains from popular foods, without judging, but also without giving in. That lives by principles, not fads. It is a lifestyle that, without intending to attack anyone, exposes the contradictions of modern faith. Most churches have stopped talking about sin. Adventists still do. Most religions have adapted their beliefs to culture. Adventists still choose to shape culture to the Bible. Most Christians ignore prophecy. Adventists still study it as a map. This is disturbing. Because where many see freedom, Adventists see abandonment of the truth. Where many see progress, Adventists see a prophetic deviation. And the mere fact that they exist, is already denunciatory. They don't shout, but their faithfulness shouts. They don't point fingers, but their obedience points fingers. They don't think they are better, but they live differently, and that is enough to irritate. Have you ever heard the phrase, light bothers those who are accustomed to darkness? That's exactly it. The presence of a faithful Adventist reveals what many prefer to hide. Even within other churches, this discomfort exists. How many times is a simple, I keep the Sabbath, received with sarcasm, dirty looks, or even entire sermons made just to refute Sabbath keeping? The discomfort is real. And it's not new. Daniel was thrown into the den because he prayed too much. The 3 Hebrews were thrown into the furnace because they refused to bow down. And today, many Adventists are isolated, attacked, misunderstood, because they have decided to obey. As Ellen White wrote, those who live truly godly lives in the present world will be persecuted. The Great Controversy, page 48. This is not an exaggeration. It is not a conspiracy theory. It is a fact that repeats itself throughout history. Whenever someone chooses to be faithful to the truth, they end up becoming a threat to those who have chosen deception. And that is when the attack begins. The attack comes from all sides. When a people cause so much discomfort, it doesn't take long for them to become a target. And Adventists have become just that, a target. A target of the media, which portrays them as strange, fanatical, or even a cult. A target of religious channels, which make entire videos just to distort their doctrines. A target of former members, who now try to deconstruct everything they once defended. Even within the Christian religious field itself, the Adventist Church is often ridiculed, ignored, or misrepresented. But stop and think. If it is a small group of people, who do not persecute anyone, who have no political power, who are not in the centers of world influence, Why so much effort to silence them? Why so much campaigning, so much criticism, so much mockery? The answer is simple, and at the same time profound. Because the Adventist message stirs the conscience. And stirring the conscience always generates opposition. Because it is much easier to ridicule those who denounce error, than to abandon error. Preaching that the Sabbath is still valid, upsets those who have turned Sunday into a tradition. Talking about the heavenly judgment, upsets those who preach a gospel without commitment. Denouncing the beast and the Babylonian system, upsets those who prefer alliances with the world to standing up for the truth. Discomfort creates tension. Tension creates attack. And the attack comes from all sides. And the saddest thing is that, in some cases, even within the church there are attempts to silence certain messages. Preaching about the end times is called radical. Talking about the shaking, about judgment, about the mark of the beast, is seen as too scary. But did the Bible call us to calm people down? Or to wake them up? The truth is that the enemy knows the prophecy. And he knows that in the last days there will be a faithful people. A people who keep God's commandments and have the faith of Jesus. He knows that this message is the last warning to the world. And so, he attacks. From outside, from inside, from above, from below. But the more he tries to silence it, the more the message echoes. Because this message is not human. It is heavenly. The message that exposes the world. If Adventists were just another denomination, preaching only about love, blessings, and prosperity, there would hardly be any resistance. The problem for the world is that Adventists carry a message that directly confronts the foundations of modern religion and today's society. A message that was not created in human councils, but revealed in the prophetic pages of the Bible. It is the message of the three angels of Revelation 14. The first angel brings a universal call. Fear God and give him glory, for the hour of his judgment has come. While many say that judgment is symbolic or that it has already passed. Adventists proclaim that judgment is underway, and that it is time to prepare. The second angel declares, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. Babylon represents religious confusion, the corrupt system that mixes truth with tradition, the Bible with convenience. And the call is clear. Come out of her, my people. This is disturbing. Because it is not an invitation to ecumenical unity. It is a call to separate from apostasy. The third angel goes even deeper. If anyone worships the beast or his image and receives his mark. Adventists don't just proclaim the grace of Christ. They also warn about the final conflict, about the mark of the beast, and about faithfulness to God expressed in keeping his commandments. And that, the world doesn't want to hear. This threefold message puts the Adventist church at odds with everything. Against the grain of false Christianity. Against the grain of worship without obedience. Against the grain of the religious system that embraces error to keep followers. And most uncomfortable of all, this message points directly to the Sabbath as a sign of faithfulness in the last days. When most churches rejected this commandment, Adventists continued to proclaim that it was never abolished. When many remained silent in the face of prophecy, Adventists continued to warn the world that a final test is approaching. And that's why they bother people. Because this message does not massage the ego. It denounces deception. It calls for repentance. It separates the holy from the profane. And most of all, it shows that, behind the scenes of popular religion, a system is being prepared. To lead the whole world into forced worship. There are only two paths. And Adventists are among the few who still have the courage to say this out loud. The silence of some and the fear of others. In a world plunged into spiritual confusion, where so many voices rise up to preach peace and safety, silence has become comfortable. Many preachers avoid topics such as judgment, sin, faithfulness, and obedience. They prefer a religion without confrontation, without repentance, without the cross. They talk about God's love, but they are silent about his justice. They talk about blessings, but they hide the call to holiness. And when it comes to prophecy, the silence is even deeper. Revelation. It is ignored, treated as symbolic, or completely distorted. The beast? It is avoided. The mark? Reduced to theories or religious merchandising. The Sabbath? Forgotten, or worse, despised with flimsy arguments. But, why so much silence? Because speaking these truths is costly. It costs followers. It costs public acceptance. It costs the comfort of being aligned with the dominant religious world. And that is why, in many pulpits, what should be a trumpet, has become a whisper. But even with little structure. Even as a minority. Even in the face of criticism and rejection. Adventists continue to preach. Preaching that judgment is underway. That there is a faithful remnant. That God's commandments are still valid. That the Sabbath is the seal of the Creator. That Jesus is at the door. They could have remained silent too. They could have softened the message. But they chose faithfulness, even when it becomes dangerous. And that is another reason why the world fears them. Because where many sell out, they remain. Fear is not of the name, but of the message. What the world really fears is not the name Adventist. After all, words are easy to forget. But what the world really fears is the truth behind that name. The truth that challenges comfortable routines. The truth that calls for unapologetic faithfulness. The truth that points to a judgment that is happening now. For many, the Sabbath is just another ordinary day. But for Adventists, it is the sign of the Creator. It is the seal that distinguishes those who are faithful in the final hour of testing. And that deeply disturbs people. Because accepting this truth means renouncing old traditions. It means taking a stand that can cost friendships, jobs, and social acceptance. The Adventist message is not just any doctrine. It is a call to choose between two paths. Between light and darkness. Between truth and deception. The world prefers to fear the name and ignore the message. Because facing the message means change. And change is difficult. But Adventists stand firm. Keeping the commandments, maintaining the faith of Jesus. Even when it means going against the tide. Therefore, the fear is not of the name, but of the message that transforms lives. And as long as that message echoes, there will be fear and reaction. We are living in a unique time in history. A time when the faithful remnant will be increasingly pressured, attacked, and misunderstood. But this fear that the world has reveals something greater. The power and importance of the message that God has entrusted to this people. It is not pride to say that we are different. It is recognizing an immense responsibility. A mission that requires courage, faithfulness, and perseverance. Because being a remnant is not comfortable. It is not popular. But it is essential. If you feel in your heart that there is something different about the Adventist message, that it touches on profound truths and disturbs the world, then know that you are part of this mission. Do not be afraid. Stand firm. Because the time is now. If you believe in this mission and feel called to remain faithful, don't forget to leave your like to help this video reach more people. If you haven't subscribed yet, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, so you don't miss out on important upcoming content. And now, I want to hear from you. Comment below, they are afraid of the truth, if you agree that this message disturbs the world. Share this video with friends and family who need to hear this message today. Together, we are the faithful remnant raised up for the last days.